Hey guys, first off, you might notice I have me like, kind of a black and blue welt, there to my side. That's where, I was, somewhere the other day and, I threw my, lunch, bags and lunch, apparatus, in the trash after I ate my lunch and, I accidentally, threw my e-cig in the trash receptacle, and then, I just bumped my eye, on the opening where I had to, kind of, force my face through to get my e-cig out of the trash, and, but anyway, that's that. Now, last night I decided to kick off this holiday weekend by going to the cinema and watching Gigi and Nate. And of course I like to, maybe go to the movies once a month, and just once a month, and maybe treat myself to popcorn, a glass of Coke, and watch a good movie. And of course we got a theater here in town called the Athens Movie Palace, and another one down the highway about 30 minutes from here in Cleveland called UEC Theaters. And saw that Gigi and Nate, was playing at the UEC theaters. It wasn't available in Athens, yet. And, I just thought, I read about it, I read the plot, and I thought, that's an interesting movie, I'm going to go watch it. So I drove all the way down to Cleveland and watched the movie. And okay, and Gigi and Nate, has kind of all these twists and turns. It turns all these corners where, of course I see, all the sad scenes and stuff, and I think to myself, I'm not going to like this movie. It's just, I'm not going to advise people to watch it. And then, as it got updated further along, I'm like, oh, good movie. I will brag about it after all. Just kind of threw me off, here and there. It's just, of course, main character in that movie was, his name is Nate. Well, his actual name in real life is Charlie Rowe, but he played as Nate in Gigi and Nate. And of course, and it's another mind-blowing thing is the guy that played as Nate's father, I thought he was John Goodman. Of course, I've always thought of John Goodman as this really overweight, actor. And the guy that played as Nate's father, he just, of course, he's way more slender than John Goodman is. And I thought, goodness, that's John Goodman with a transformation. John Goodman has had a big weight loss and a transformation. Then I was like, wait a minute, be sure, is this really John Goodman? And of course I, looked up and read about, the movie again online, and sure enough, it wasn't John Goodman, but, the guy who played as Nate's father, looked like John Goodman in the face, had a voice that sounded just like John Goodman's, and, the only difference is he's a whole lot more slender than John Goodman. His name in real life is Jim Belushi. Yeah, Jim Belushi played as Nate's father, and, thought that was John Goodman with a big weight loss. But tell you what, he looked like John Goodman, had a voice like John Goodman, and I actually, thought it was John Goodman until I, read more about the movie online. And so anyway, I mean, of course, Nate is like this adventurous teenager about to go off to college. And he has like this hobby of diving in a lake off a huge bluff. And he just so happened to go diving. And without him noticing, he got the water apparently got down to his lungs somehow or whatever. And he contracted meningitis, but the symptoms didn't actually show up until later in the movie. I mean, of course, Nate is just, he's adventurous, loves his family, loves to get together with his friends, family, and will just interact with his siblings as well. And they have this big outdoor get together, and shortly after the get together, Nate all of a sudden has a huge headache, these bad episodes and big seizures, and his family had to rush him to the hospital. And so anyway, and he was stayed laid up in the hospital for a while, and of course they didn't his family didn't like the doctor reports and all that stuff. And in the long run, unfortunately, Nate turned out to be a quadriplegic and had to, be prescribed a wheelchair. And of course, and his family had to learn of ways to take care of him now that he has to, be confined to a wheelchair. And to me, that was depressing. Nate being such, this off to college boy, being so full of life, and all of a sudden have this big fluke of having to spend the rest of his life in the wheelchair. To me, that was depressing. But his family just kind of pondered on different ways to provide the proper care for Nate. And so they found some kind of animal trainer somewhere, and they introduced him to a capuchin monkey, and he bonded with the monkey right off. And of course, and as the monkey was troublesome at first, Nate decided, no, I don't want that monkey after all. I think we need to take him back. But as him and the monkey bonded even more, monkey name is Gigi. Nate decided after all, I love this monkey, and I want to keep this monkey. This monkey, named Gigi was very humorous and was always by Nate's side, and Nate's best friend, and also helped Nate be able to grasp things with his hands, which made it better. And I think helped wait on Nate too, and just a very therapeutic animal and his best friend. And you watch this movie and you're I was cool, a monkey as a best friend. Gigi as a best friend, and Gigi, totally rocks. And then, a woman of PETA or some other animal organization, notices, I think, Nate and his mom at the grocery store with Gigi with them, and the animal activist said, "Sir, no monkeys allowed in the store. This is inhumane," and stuff. And of course, and they took it over with the law and stuff like that. And then they were told, well, no longer take your, monkey into places that furnishes food that could, like, attract, diseases and da-da-da-da. And, I mean, they listened to them and, they just... And then, Nate has his friends take him to this big college party that involves alcohol, and like I think Nate had alcohol as well, and he took Gigi with him, and I mean, it's... And after the party, when Nate's sister and the rest of his family found out that, he took Gigi to a party with alcohol, they had a shit fit and chewed Nate out. And Nate was like, I was just trying to have a quality of life. And then PETA steps in, and then they, like, throw a big riot to take Gigi away from Nate and back to the wild, because, they thought, well, I mean, the family is doing such a inhumane act by keeping an animal in domestication that belongs into the wild, and saying how inhumane that was, got taken to court and all that. And there was even a big riot in front of Nate's house, and it took them forever to get that cleared up. But what the verdict was is Nate ended up having to, give up Nate and let them return. Nate had to give up Gigi and have, the activists and all that return Gigi to her natural environment. And I mean, Nate was so depressed and all that, and I thought that was in the movie, and I thought, this movie sucks. Him being bonded with Gigi and taking Gigi out of his hands. This sucks. This is not a good movie. And then Nate's grandma, who lives with them, finds an article and reads that, capuchin monkeys aren't allowed in the state where they live to be kept as pets, but they are allowed to be kept as, well, I shouldn't say pets, but service animals in this case. They are allowed to be kept in domestication all the way in North Carolina. So they all ended up, relocating to North Carolina, setting up, a nice estate, cabin estate, and living happily ever after. And the bond continues, and the movie has a happy ending, but, it just... So anyway, basically the movie just took twists and turns where it went good, then I thought I wouldn't like it, and some very sad parts, and then, when it had such an happy ending, I thought, this movie totally rocks, and I'll tell my other friends about and family about it as well. So if you're wanting to, go into town, go to the cinema and watch a good movie, I totally recommend Gigi and Nate. And I mean, you'll want to check online first to be sure, it's, playing at your local cinema. But, it's just very inspiring story, and I totally recommend it. And I thought I would just share this great information with you, and have a great weekend.